Hey, so how do you create a professional branded YouTube channel for your business? We know that YouTube has over 2 billion monthly active users. We know that video and social media marketing are invaluable for brand exposure and lead generation. So YouTube gives us the opportunity to put those two together. So in this video, we're going to walk through how to plan, set up, and customize a good branded YouTube channel for your business. My name is Matthias, founder of Nerdgate Media, and we help businesses get started with growing their audience and generating leads on YouTube. So let's get started with creating a YouTube channel for your business. The first step to creating a YouTube channel is to have your brand and your audience defined. So if you're a business, you should have a brand and you should have a target audience. If you don't, you should go figure that out now. But this video is going to assume that you have those two things. You have a brand and maybe some sort of brand guidelines, and you have a target audience or an ideal customer profile that you're trying to target. So taking that information, you should be asking yourself these questions. You should ask, who are you? As in, who is your brand? Who is your business? What makes you unique? What are your values? Who is your ideal customer? Who are you trying to reach? If you don't have a brand guide document, it might be useful to make one of those now. Write down the answers to those questions in that brand guide and also detail what fonts you use, what colors, any specific graphics you have, your logo, your voice and tone, that sort of thing. Okay, so we have a brand guide. We know who we are. We know who we're targeting. We know what our brand looks like and what it sounds like. So now we need a name for our channel. When we go in to create the channel, we're going to pick a handle for the actual YouTube channel. And so we want this name to be representative of our business and our brand. When you were making your brand, you probably were very intentional about the name that you picked. So the name that you want for your YouTube channel is probably the same name as what you have for your brand. So we are called Nerdgate Media. So our YouTube channel is called Nerdgate Media. Now there are certain situations where this might not be the case. For example, if you are planning a specific type of content to use on YouTube, and your brand is broader than the type of content you're going to have on YouTube, you might want to be more targeted about the name to the content that you're going to be making on YouTube. For example, if you're using YouTube strictly for a podcast, your channel name might be your brand podcast, Nerdgate Media Podcast. If you have a sub-brand, it might be the name of your sub-brand instead, Nerdgate Southeast. That's one of our channels. There's also situations where your name might already be taken as a handle. In that case, you might want to add another word to it or special characters that are still in line with what you're trying to do. For example, if Nerdgate Media was already taken, I might pick something like Nerdgate Media Productions or Nerdgate Media Video, something along those lines. So we're thinking about the name that we want to use. We have our brand guide, and something really useful for setting up your YouTube channel is to set it up under a dedicated Google account. YouTube is owned by Google, so you need a Google account to set up the YouTube channel. If you have a Google account that's specific to your brand, that is not like a personal Google account, use that to set up the YouTube channel. If you have a business that is a little bit larger and you have multiple Google accounts for different things, use the one that's most appropriate for YouTube. For example, if you have one for all your social media, use that one. If you want one just for YouTube, you can make one. Make a new Google account. It's free. You'll use that Google account to create the channel, and then you will be able to add team members through their own Google accounts within the channel afterwards. So this way you can keep ownership of the channel under one central alias and not have to depend on any specific person who might join and then leave your company or something like that. Okay, so we have our plan for how we're going to set up this channel, but we're going to need some assets to start off with. We're going to need a profile picture and we're going to need a YouTube banner. For the profile picture, it helps to have an image that has a background on it. So if you're going to use like a logo, or if you're a founder-led organization, you might use a headshot. So you'll use a professional headshot. The format for your image should be a square image that is 800 by 800 pixels, so somewhere in there. The actual display of the image, I believe, is around 100 by 100 pixels, but it's best practice to upload a higher quality image than that. It's also good practice to make sure your image has a background, because some people view YouTube in light mode, which is the default with the white background. Some people view it in dark mode. So if you have a logo that has black on it, on the actual logo, or a logo that has white on it, or that has gray or something like that, it could blend into the YouTube interface depending on whether a viewer is using light mode or dark mode. So make sure that your logo has a background of some sort. It could be a black background, a white background, or a colored background, whatever is appropriate for your headshot or for your logo that you're going to use, but make sure that it's not a transparent PNG file. We'll also want to have a banner for our channel, but before we get to the banner, let's go ahead and start creating our channel. Okay, so when you first go to create your YouTube channel, you will pick your YouTube channel name and your handle. And then you will go to your channel customization page, which will look something like this. On this page, the first thing you'll see at the top will be your banner image. You'll see that the image should be 2048 by 1152 pixels. So one thing that I like to do to figure out how the image is going to show up on the screen is to go to where you're going to add the new image. So you go to where you're adding your new image, and then it gives you this graphic here that shows you what's going to be viewable on TV, what's going to be viewable on desktop, and what's going to be viewable on all devices. And then what I do here is I take a screenshot of this image here, and then I load that in as a layer to a Photoshop file or a Canva project or something like that. And then after that, you can create the image around this layer and use that as a template. That's how I created this image, so that you could see that the Nerdgate Media would be visible along with the little camera screen on all devices. But then if you were on desktop, you'd see a wider view. And if you were on TV, you'd be able to see the entire image in full. So we've added our banner. The next section is our profile picture. So this is where you upload your profile picture. Yeah, and here's a display size, 98 by 98 pixels. So here I've uploaded for my channel a Nerdgate Media profile picture with a black background. This is so that no matter if somebody's using light mode or if they're using dark mode, which is what I'm using right now, none of the Nerdgate Media elements will blend in. For example, media here is in white text. If I was not using a background, the media would be lost on a white background for somebody viewing YouTube in light mode. So this is why I have a dark background on my photo. Going down the page, the next item is your name. So for us, it's just Nerdgate Media. Again, you want a name that is representative of your brand and your business. So just make it the name of your business to start. And then your handle. Your handle is also going to make an easy URL for your channel. So again, just try to copy your business name if you can. It might be taken since these handles have to be unique. So if your handle is taken, you might need to add another word here or there, or maybe a number, get creative, but keep it simple and keep it clear and focused on what your brand is. If you'd like, you can add pronouns. And then the next item is the description. So the description is important for a few reasons. The first reason is YouTube's algorithm. The description is a place where you can use keywords that'll help YouTube classify your channel and recommend it to people when they're searching YouTube. So this is where you'll add all your keywords related to your business. For example, if you have a skydiving business, make sure skydiving is in that description a couple of times. The second reason why the description is important is because this is what people will see when they click on your channel and want to read more about it. Let me show you real quick. If we go to what my channel looks like, Nerdgate Media, you'll see that the description here appears truncated. So whatever this first line is on the description for you, you want to make sure it's something that is going to either give value to the person reading it or cause curiosity and want them to read more. So you want to include important keywords up front, and you want to make sure that whatever they can read before they have to click on more makes sense to them and provides value. Here, I have a brief description of who we are and what we do. We help businesses grow their audience and generate leads on YouTube. And I was able to fit all that in before it got truncated. And if people want to learn more, then they click more. And now it brings up the rest of the description here. A little bit about our business and the things that we do. I am going to update this though, because we have a new offer, so stick around for that. Right underneath, you'll see a links section. And here we just link to our website, nerdgamemedia.com. That is right below here in links. So right below the description, you have your channel URL, which is your unique URL that you can always copy and paste for whatever applications you want. If for any reason you can't use your handle URL, you can always use your permalink URL. But then under that are links that you can add, again, under your description here. So for this link section, it's best to keep it simple. After all, you're a business, and if you think about the way that you construct your funnels to generate leads or to make sales, you want to provide the clearest and simplest action for the user to do or to experience. So if your goal is to drive sales through a landing page, the only link you should have on here is that landing page, right? And then as you figure out your YouTube strategy, you can start adding more links as they become relevant to different subsections of your audience that you start building. But for now, just include one link on here and make sure that it's the link to where you want to drive all your traffic. Underneath, you can add a contact email address for people to contact you. This contact email is useful if you want people to contact you, and I think if you're a business using YouTube for lead generation, you probably want that. So make sure there's an easy way to be contacted on YouTube. Add your email on here. If you were, for example, an individual creator and your channel blew up and you did not want strangers contacting you, then you would not want an email address in here. But if you're a business trying to generate leads, probably a good idea to include an email address there. And then the last item on this page is the video watermark. This is highly dependent on your content strategy and the type of content that you're making and how your audience is going to perceive it. If you're making really branded informational content and you want to look like National Geographic or like a news organization or something like that, where your watermark always shows up on the corner of your videos, you can add one on here. Including a watermark makes you look a little bit more official, a little bit more polished, but it also increases the distance that you have between you and your audience when it comes to forming a relationship. It's not quite as relatable because it feels more polished. It also feels a little more professional and a little more organization-y, a little less one-to-one relationship type thing. So if you are a founder-led business and you're using your own face as a founder of the business, you are the face of the YouTube channel, you might not want to have the watermark on there because you want people to think that the channel is really just you and it's you connecting with your audience because that's what you want it to be, right? So whether or not you use a video watermark really depends on your goals, the type of content that you're making, and the audience that you are reaching. Okay, once you start uploading videos and you have some content on the site, you can start customizing your home tab as well. This is a little bit difficult to do before you have videos because you want to have a few different videos that you can organize in a playlist. So I'm going to switch over to one of our different channels, Nerdgate Southeast, and I'm going to show you how we organize the homepage for that one. Okay, so now I'm in the customization tab of YouTube Studio for Nerdgate Southeast, and I'm going to click on the Home tab. The Home tab is a place where you can organize how the content shows up when somebody visits your channel. So you can set up things like a featured video if you want a channel trailer. You can set up different playlists for people to watch, and you do that by customizing the layout here. So first you need to enable the Home tab. If it's not enabled, everything will be grayed out and you can't do anything, so you have to enable it. And now you start filling up the sections. So you can include up to 12 sections, and each section can be a playlist. Maybe it's a YouTube recommended section, like the For You section. You can show all of your uploaded videos, and you can change the order, the default order that they show up in. You can include featured channels if you want to promote any other channels. So to do that, you click on Add Section, and then you choose what you want to do. So for example, if I wanted to add a channel trailer, this would be a video for people who are not subscribed to the channel. So the first video that they see, and it would autoplay for them once they land on the channel. So I'm actually going to choose our latest video that we have. This is a little short film that we made for Nerdgate Southeast, and I'm going to use that as a channel trailer for people who haven't subscribed because it's got a nice eye-catching beginning that hopefully when it autoplays will grab people's attention and they'll want to watch the whole thing and be entertained. And then I'm going to add a spotlight for returning subscribers to watch a video that maybe they haven't seen yet that I really want to spotlight. For this one, I'm going to choose this interview that I did with a local event founder because this is a longer video. It's going to be one that maybe people might not want to click on as much because they don't have the time to watch a 40-minute interview. But if it starts autoplaying for somebody who already trusts the channel and who knows the content that we make, they might be intrigued by it and might make the decision to watch it or to save it for later. Underneath that, we have some playlists that we have curated for the channel. So we have set up our home tab on the channel so that the first playlist you see has to do with conventions and events. The next one is businesses and creators. The next one is our podcast, which is really just our interview series. And then we have our For You section. And then after that, we get into the more generic sections I've added, like just all our videos, community posts, and this collaborations one is new. I did not enable it. I think it was enabled on its own when YouTube first rolled out that program. So I'm just going to remove it for now. Then I'm going to hit publish on the top right. And now I'm going to hit view channel so we can see the changes that we've made. Okay, so now you can see that I've opened the channel in a new private window. And I did that so that I would not be logged into any accounts. So I am technically viewing this channel as a non-subscriber. And you can see that the channel trailer that I set, this short film that we made, starts autoplaying and starts capturing my attention. So creating sections like this and creating playlists is a really good way to group the content that you start making for your YouTube channel. And as you're thinking about how you want to organize your channel for your business, you should think about the different types of content buckets that you have that you're going to be producing and how you want to present those to the audience that might be landing on your channel with the ultimate goal of them going to a sales page or going to give you a call or book time on your calendar or whatever it may be. Okay, now let's talk about optimizing your video elements when you go to publish a video. One of the most important elements of publishing a video is having a good thumbnail. The idea of making a good thumbnail deserves its own whole video. In fact, there's a lot of videos on YouTube about how to make a good thumbnail for different applications. And it's that important because the thumbnail is going to be what catches somebody's eye and what forces them to click on the video to actually watch it. So we're not going to go into too much detail on what it takes to create a good thumbnail in this video, but I would encourage you, when you're thinking about the types of videos that you're going to make and when you're doing pre-production on a video, be thinking about how is the thumbnail going to show up on YouTube. In fact, thumbnail and title are probably the two things you should think about first when you're pre-producing a video. So the second element is the title. Having a good title and thumbnail combination is key to making people click on the video and watching it. So you want to have a title that attracts attention, that acts as a headline for your video, and works in concert with a thumbnail to get people to click. Titles are also important for SEO optimization, and so are descriptions. So video descriptions are the next thing to think about when optimizing your video uploads. The description is a great place to include keywords for SEO. It's a fantastic place to include a call to action right at the very top of the description. So the first thing people see underneath the video is maybe a link for them to click on to get more information. And it's also a great place to include timestamps to increase the accessibility and ease of browsing your video, especially if you have a long video where you're hitting a lot of different topics that people might want to go back to and revisit. Again, titles and descriptions deserve their own video, so we'll make one of those in the future. And we'll talk about some other elements in the future too, like hooks and introductions and outros when we get into talking about video production and actually what it takes to make a good video. But once you have your channel created, you start making content, you start making some custom thumbnails, coming up with titles and descriptions, and you start publishing. And then what do you do after you publish a video? You want to promote it, right? And most likely what's going to happen when you publish your first few videos is you're not going to get very many views, and you're going to think, man, the YouTube algorithm isn't helping me out. I need to promote this video on my own. And then you might go out and you might do a fantastic job of promoting the video, and you might put all these hours of work into it, but then you're going to think that you need to make another video soon, and then you're going to have to put hours into promoting that video, and you're going to have to do that for every single video that you do. And that's not the case. The most important thing to focus your time on is at making consistent content, making good quality content, and making each video make a little bit better than the last one. And you don't want to burn yourself out in the promotion of a single video. So if you're good at promoting things on social media and you like doing it, sure, go make a bunch of posts about the video that you made on different platforms, but don't feel like that's something that you have to put hours into every time you upload a video. So a quick recap on creating your YouTube channel for your business. The first things we talked about were planning, and that includes having a brand guide, thinking about the name that you want to use, and having a dedicated Google account for the channel. We talked about the first assets you're going to need, which are your profile picture and your banner, and then securing your handle. And we talked about how to set up some of the more advanced features like laying out your home tab, making individual playlists, setting up a channel trailer, and that sort of thing. And if you want to learn a little more about how we manage channels and the things that we look at, the analytics that we pay attention to and all that, you can check out our website, nerdgamemedia.com. Like this video if you really liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and let me know in the comments if you're using any of this to make your own channel. I'd love to see it. I hope this was helpful. My name's Matthias with Nerd Game Media, and we'll see you next time.